Welcome back to Decode Healthcare with Harshal for part 46 of our 100-part ICD-10-CM guideline series. If you're looking to master medical coding, avoid compliance traps, and actually get your claims paid accurately, you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're targeting a highly specific, heavily audited area of the CMS official guidelines. Here's our roadmap for today's explainer. We'll start with a quick recap, unpack the presumed causal link, dive deep into the combination code mandate, decode the strict hierarchy between native vessels and bypass grafts, and finally, show you how to avoid the dreaded audit trap.
Section 1. Recap and Mission. Let's set the stage.
Remember how in part 45 we nailed down that presumed causal link for hypertension? Well, today we're taking that exact same analytical energy and throwing it at section IC9.B, atherosclerotic coronary artery disease and angina. We're strictly talking CMS combination rules, vessel hierarchies, and those incredibly sneaky history status traps that will absolutely get you audited if you aren't careful.
Section 2. The presumed causal link.
So what's wild about this rule is how it literally dictates clinical assumptions right out of the gate. According to the CMS guidelines, the coding system presumes a causal relationship between CAD and angina. If your patient has both, boom, the system legally assumes the atherosclerosis caused the angina. You don't need the provider to explicitly write angina due to CAD. The guidelines do the linking for you unless the documentation explicitly states the angina is due to something else.
Section 3. The combination code mandate.
And this presumption leads us straight into a huge compliance trap. You literally cannot code I25.10 for CAD and I20.0 for unstable angina separately on the same claim. That's a massive error. Because of that presumed link we just talked about, ICD-10-CM forces these two diagnoses to basically collide and merge into a single combination code like I25.110 for native CAD with unstable angina.
Bottom line here, CAD plus angina equals a mandatory combination code, every single time. The CMS guidelines forcibly merge them, totally overriding any old-school textbook theories that might tell you to list every symptom separately. And hey, when you use this combo code, the guidelines explicitly tell us we don't need an additional code for the angina. One code, the whole shebang.
Section 4. Native vessels versus bypass grafts.
Okay, so knowing you need a combination code is only half the battle, right? You also need to know exactly where this disease is happening. This strict hierarchy is something you absolutely have to memorize. If the CAD with angina is in the patient's original native arteries, you're locked into the I25.11 series. If it involves a bypass graft, a CABG, you're looking at the I25.7 series, and you'll need to specify if it's an autologous vein, artery, or non-autologous graft. And finally, if it's in a transplanted heart, you jump to the I25.81 series. You always have to check the site.
Which brings us to a really tricky real-world scenario. Let's say your patient had a CABG surgery 5 years ago. Today they're diagnosed with CAD. Do you automatically jump to that I25.7 graft CAD code just because they have a history of bypass surgery? Think about it for a second.
No, absolutely not. This right here is a golden audit rule. Just because they have a past CABG does not mean the current disease is in the graft. If your doc documents stenosis in a native artery, you assign the native CAD code, that I25.1- series. Then, to paint the full clinical picture, you add the secondary status code for personal history of CABG, which is Z95.1.
Listen, you only ever touch the I257.7 category if the physician explicitly writes that the atherosclerosis is inside the actual bypass graft itself. Don't make assumptions based on surgical history. The documentation literally has to say atherosclerosis in the vein graft for you to use those bypass graft combination codes.
Section 5. The audit trap.
So why does all this combining and exact sequencing matter so much? Well, submitting separate codes for CAD and angina is a massive red flag. First off, it triggers automated claims scrubber rejections right away, which totally stalls your facility's revenue. Second, it completely distorts the patient's risk adjustment scoring. Third, commercial payers literally have algorithms running constantly to flag this exact missequencing for an audit. And of course, doing it wrong directly violates Section IC9.B CMS mandates.
It's simple. CMS guidelines are your ultimate authority. They trump general coding theory every single time. If you try to slip those separate codes through a digital claim review, they're getting kicked back. You always have to resequence and merge them into a single compliant combination code. That's exactly how we code cleanly, legally, and accurately.
Section 6. Outro and Teaser. And that wraps up today's high-stakes trap avoidance explainer. You now have the exact blueprint for handling combination codes and native versus graft hierarchies. But you know the cardiovascular system gets even more complex, right? Next time, in Part 47, we're breaking down Section IC9E, myocardial infarctions. We're diving into the differences between a STEMI and an NSTEMI, that notorious 4-week acute MI rule, and how to handle subsequent MIs.
So, I'll leave you with this question. You've mastered CAD combination codes today, but are you ready to sequence a subsequent STEMI that occurs exactly 3 weeks after an initial NSTEMI? Please make sure to subscribe, hit that like button, and share this explainer with your fellow medical coders so we can tackle that exact scenario together in Part 47. Keep decoding, and I'll catch you in the next one.